Hi Virgo, here's a general look at your solar chart for October 2014. Now, if you've listened to the other video I made about October 2014, you'll have a grasp of the meaning of the eclipses over the whole of 2014, or a bit more of a grasp, but also for October, because there's going to be two eclipses this month. And that is the dominant factor here, along with the grand fire trine as well. So just for the eclipses, it's going to be lunar eclipse on October the 8th, and that one's in Aries, and that's on the it's part of the pattern for the whole of the year on the IU axis. So it's to do with the way that we relate and the state of our habitual relating, but also relationships in general, okay, over the whole of the year. Now, the eclipses are definitely an energy of change and maybe freeing things up, improving things, whatever. But this eclipse is happening in your quite a deep house for you, quite an emotional house, and eclipses are about new beginnings. So this lunar eclipse is likely to bring new beginnings in important relationships, and you could have experienced an adjustment or turning over a new leaf in a new relationship at the time of the new moon, which is at the back end of September, or indeed it may have been before that, because it was an ongoing situation. But the eclipse is indicating a shifting of gears around the time, or within the 24 hours of the October the 8th day. You should be stepping out in the direction that you want the energy to take you, because the eclipse energy of both the lunar and solar eclipses will go on for several months, particularly the solar eclipse. The lunar eclipse more usually for about a month, but it can be longer than that. And this month, October 2014, is the end of the series of eclipses, that particular cycle of eclipses for 2014. So there will be a lot of things that have been tied up maybe previous to this month, and then the new beginning energy of the eclipses in these two areas for you, one in Aries, one in Scorpio, is going to push forward several months to come, right? So it kind of means that you can take things to the next level if you set your foot in the direction, you set the intent, you set the precedent for the coming time within the 24-hour window of the eclipse. And it means that positive change can come in. It puts the ball in your court with how you would like that change to pan out, but you do need to be honest with yourself, because the area to do with relationships that this eclipse is in for you is in quite a deep area. It's to do with your deeper values, your deeper connections, right? So your value structure and what you will allow and what you will not. However, this eclipse is pinned very strongly to the planet Uranus, and Uranus is about breaking taboos, breaking the mold, moving on into new things in a very progressive kind of a way. Also, it's important to understand that the more you do your own thing, and of course you need to know what your own thing is, and that wouldn't be an ego thing, that would be the thing that you do which is true to you, the essential you, which is of value here in this place that we all live in. So the more you do your own thing within the parameters of obligations that you have to others, in this area of your chart where Aries sits in your sun sign chart, which is to do with deeper feelings in relationships, but it's also to do with property and finances as well as your values. Or rather shared values. You see, it's values that maybe one has to compromise a little bit on, but certainly not throw out the window, unless of course they're meant to go because you yourself feel that it's time for you to move on into bigger and better things. So use what you've learned from experiences earlier in the year to approach relationships in a new, very fresh kind of a way, because this is the time maybe to start changing your signal, as it were. We all radiate, okay? And so we all emit a signal, a sound, a harmony as we move through our lives in this world. But of course, it's outside of the audible, human audible range. So maybe you need to be changing your signal. Now, probably that's not going to be changing your core frequency that you came in with as a soul, but it will be making it more clear, perhaps. You will be bringing more of your mind and heart and emotion to it as you bring more of yourself, aligning yourself together. And therefore you will be radiating differently. So in whatever small way, because it doesn't have to be the whole 9 yards immediately, but in whatever small way you can, and I'm saying this because of the Uranian energy pinned to this lunar eclipse shortly before the solar eclipse. This planet, Uranus, is the planet of revolution and awakening and big change, and it's been, along with Pluto, behind the upheavals going on and the power struggles going on our planet for many years now. So the fresher you feel, the clearer you are about stepping into new things, about the need for positive change, the more benefit you will receive from this eclipse, because the eclipse energy is simply a neutral energy which allows you to put your foot down on the clutch, open up the gears so that you can then put, if you're using a stick shift, into whichever gear you want to put them. Of course, that depends on the speed you're going as well, you know. So your basic vibration is the speed you're going. And it's not just you alone which is creating through this energy of the eclipse and Uranus, well, the Uranus-Pluto aspect, which is very strong in our skies at the moment. The universe is also creating through this vibrational weather. The universe is always creating through all eternity. It's always creating and manifesting events or conditions which encourage or even force new growth, you see. So this lunar eclipse in Aries could be a significant shifting for you in this time of the great shift on our planet. In whichever way, it is to do with deeper feelings, but it is also to do with money, you know, materialistic things like money, property, but it's also to do with your deeper connections to your source, your soul, your higher self, we could say your guidance. It's very much connected to those things as well, and your intuition. Now, there's going to be a grand fire trine. In fact, if you're listening to this in September, it's probably already lining up, and that's from late September through to early October. And this is a real gift at this time. It's very inspiring and full of promise, and we could do with a bit of a break, really, because this will affect everything that's going on in the world. But of course, we're just talking about you and your sun sign chart at the moment. So this is renewed hope. This is a launch pad for new enterprises or new relationships or new ventures, creative enterprises. I said that, didn't I? But that's the feeling of it. And it's healing, potentially freeing, and it's actually got a little bit of fairy dust with it because it's connected to Uranus, which is connected to the eclipse. And if you've been waiting for that rabbit out of the hat, well, it could be happening now. This is the moment to take a leap of faith, of course, being sensible all the time. But yeah, sort of a kind of a leap of faith within controlled conditions. No, I shouldn't be saying that really, because maybe you shouldn't even have a plan B. Maybe you should just trust but you've got to be sensible as well. So watch the space in that 24-hour period of October the 8th with this extraordinary energy of change and inspiration and awakening afoot, and hoping that you can use it in the best way possible. This energy of Uranus is also about connecting you with groups, connecting you with the collective mind, whether that's on planet or off planet. And there could be a little bit of a tax on this one, because simply that Uranus at the moment in the transit is connecting to Pluto, which demands that something is let go of, because Pluto is about clearing the decks of all the old dross and clutter. I mean, literally, you know, decluttering, but detoxifying as well. In this world, in a worldly sense, across the wider stage, but also in your small life, which is not so small, it's actually quite big for you, because you're in it and living it. So this demands a kind of a letting go in exchange for something fresh and new to flourish. Maybe it's just an old attitude of yours or an old habit or something. And then the other thing, third thing that's happening is the solar eclipse, which you guys in North America will be able to see. I'm very envious. And this one is in Scorpio, and also conjuncting Venus, which is rather nice. And this is on your Taurus Scorpio axis. And the lessons on that axis throughout 2014 around, again, values, but also around communications, around expressing yourself through speaking, writing, and other sort of media, possibly in artistic ways for some of you as well, and really keeping a very sort of strong weather eye on that area there. Education, communications of all kinds, and working harder at that area, because that area has been hosting Saturn as well. However, this eclipse is conjunct Venus, which is going to be great. It's going to be really helpful. And if you've already been through a certain amount of adverse situations or more demanding energy, that you come up, you know, with the goods for a deadline, or that you are struggling hard to get things, to get material that you want to share, or indeed you're in education and it's not been easy because things haven't quite gone as you'd hoped, because of this Saturn energy of obstacles in your way and a spanner in the works. At times, not at all times, and also to do with vehicles and communications equipment for some of you as well, then this eclipse can be very helpful, especially with it being tagged to Venus. And it may be that you will understand what is less worthwhile and more meaningful to you now in what you say to the world and how you say it to the world, how you can deliver it, or indeed turn that around, and you know what you want to be learning from somebody, and how you can source material, how you can source knowledge, and what you can do with it. So anyway, it might be about things like that, or it might be about more material things like, as I say, equipment and vehicles and so on. But whatever it is, you know, there could have been some deeper self-inquiry going on there related to ownership, guardianship, what you owe, but also what is owed to you, moral obligations, also a contract that you make, or rather you make it with somebody, or somebody's made it with you. They have agreed to deliver on something, and maybe because Saturn's been in there for so long, they didn't come up with the goods. It can also be that you are finding out that what some people believe as the absolute universal, eternal truth on something is actually not. It's simply their perception or just their level of consciousness at the moment, and that is what they see as their truth, which is totally valued and totally valid. But it is only a perception. It is not the be-all and end-all truth. And that goes for you as well. So with this eclipse, through the meaning of this area here related to those subjects, which are how you think, how you're communicating that, what you're learning from others, what others are learning from you, but also some deeper questioning in yourself and deeper feelings in yourself. This eclipse can help you move forward with lots of fresh energy and sort of friendly, more harmonious energy as well, and you figuring out what is of more value to you at this stage in your life, and how you want to put that across, how you want to use what you're learning, and how you want to put that across. But it always depends on your natal chart and how these transits and eclipses are connecting in your natal chart. Although your sun sign chart does hold weight and does have a say, but it always really boils down to the natal chart to see how these cycles may be affecting you in your life, or rather how you can be working with them in your life. Now, what else is going on in October? We're very, very quickly until the 23rd, the sun's in a very sort of materialistic area to do with basic stuff, to do with finances, but also to do with property and possessions. So it's stuff, but it might be your stuff, it might be somebody else's stuff. And until the 24th, Venus is in an area concerning money and property, the same area as the sun, possessions and other basic stuff. You might be feeling a bit self-indulgent and feel like you want to you just have to put your hand in your pocket because you've seen something that you absolutely have to have. But on the other hand, it does mean, you know, that you can do okay in financial negotiations, or in financial ways anyway. And also it means that you can capitalize on your own talents, your own abilities more with Venus here, and also teaming up with somebody to enjoy things together, you know, the good things in life, maybe, yes, splashing out a little bit financially, but you're doing it together, and so it's making it cheaper. In general, this Venus position means that you can, you know, there can be goodies in the pipeline for you in a sort of physical, material sense. And then from the 24th, Venus moves into a very chatty area of your sun sign chart, which is the same area that the sun will be going into on the 23rd. So lots of toing and froing maybe, or just enjoying maybe a faster moving environment, or an environment where there's lots of sort of it's busy, meeting, greeting, connecting with others, maybe in quite a fleeting kind of a way, and sharing what you know perhaps, but learning more because you're getting your head around new stuff. And education or travel is also highlighted, and there may be plans, schedules, or itineraries to consider. Now, until the 11th, Mercury is in a very outgoing, chatty area as well, but that's before Venus and the Sun go into that area. So Mercury is out there on its own, although Venus and the Sun are in quite a materialistic area, which is to do with stuff. So you're already into this making fleeting contacts mode, but also maybe mulling over timetables, schedules, itineraries, or just material, mental. You've got to put your mind to it. But then Mercury goes retrograde, and goes retrograde from the 11th until the 24th, and so is out of there from the 25th onwards. But Mercury retrogrades into Libra, so goes into the same area that the Sun and Venus are in as well. And that gives conversations a more practical slant. Discussions may revolve around material things, physical things as well. and you look to see how you can improve things, put your head together with somebody else on something maybe, to get the most in a material sense out of this world, but considering essential needs and gathering information about whatever would be best for yourself or others on basic levels. And you could get a bargain, you know, you could get more than one with so much planetary activity along with Venus in that area there, or the Sun and the two planets. Your thinking, your discussing may focus upon practical ways of achieving this or that or the other thing. Buying and selling and renting and leasing comes in there as well. But between the 11th and the 24th, it could just be that there's hold-ups, delays, postponements. So just be aware of that if you're making plans and expecting things to be timed just so, because it might not be like that, and that could involve vehicles or communications equipment too. But then when Venus goes direct in this area from the 25th, that's when things start rolling along a little bit more efficiently. And now from the 26th, Mars is at the root, until the 26th, Mars is at the root of your chart. And this means the root of the chart, which is where you're located, the neighborhood you're in, can be quite busy. You might be at home, you might not. It might be about property matters, or a space, and you're working hard or harder in that space. There's just more action going on. Decisiveness may be needed about a family member or property or a space, and or related to a neighborhood wherever you are. And again, decisiveness, but also action following up on the decision. So points on the map, family member, neighborhood, tribe, extended family need a more action-orientated, assertive, in some cases, approach, and that will make demands on your stamina. There could be some moments of tension. Maybe you feel a bit cramped in your space, or maybe there's challenge coming at you in the space that you're in or in the locality in some way. Skeletons could even start rattling in the closet. You're reacting in a way that you thought you never would again. So you need to handle that. On the other hand, you could be putting your energies into connecting more with Mother Nature, going to sort of sacred places or sacred spaces. And for some of you, the past will become more important in the present in some way or another. And then from the 26th, Mars moves out of there and goes into a much more outgoing, party-loving, spontaneous, leisure and entertainment-related area. And also this is the area of romance. And some of you might be in the mood to take a chance on love, or to speculate in other ways, to take have a bit of a flutter or a gamble or take a risk on something. It's quite a self-indulgent area, but don't be hasty, just be sensible, as I would say, being the old cynic. But it is also to do with children and pets and anything that you can do in leisure or entertainment. You have more access to these things that give you that feel-good factor, that really kind of gets you sort of pushing out your chest and feeling like, okay, yes, I've done this, result, whatever it is, But again, just be sensible. It's a very creative area. You could be beating the drum on something and putting the word out there on something as well. Now, Saturn, I've sort of touched on, really has been in this long transit in your communications area, so working more routinely and diligently and devotedly and doggedly and ploddingly maybe at education, speaking, writing, or any other form of creative self-expression, developing slowly developing material in that area there, dealing maybe more with deadlines or other people sort of throwing spanners in the work and not coming up with the goods or letting you down, or Saturn is about challenge. Saturn is about pressure, really. So you feeling pressured sometimes by something to do with that area there, and of course feeling quite watching the clock more, realizing that the clock is ticking. You know, Saturn rules longevity, it rules aging, it rules time. So yeah, watching the clock more and thinking, well, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it, sort of thing. And you Virgos born in the last 10 days or with 19 to 25 degrees rising, going to feel that energy the most, particularly at the end of the middle 10 days and the beginning of the last 10 days. And now Jupiter is now in the sign before yours, before it comes into your sign next August. And that means this is a time of, in general, tying up things to do with the past. And as all things are connected, whatever you're doing, even though it's anonymous and it's in the background and it's your own private battle, as everything is connected, it will add to the pool of goodwill for us all, no matter how insignificant or difficult or invisible you feel at the time, or it feels at the time. So this is also a good time for developing or finishing things backstage, you know, for the main event, which may be coming up from August next year for many of you, or at least in the year from August next year, definitely. So, you know, doing your homework. This is the chrysalis where the butterfly develops. So this is you getting your ducks in a row in whatever way you know you really do need to. And it can be to do with health, it can be to do with things related to the past, it can be to do with, well, like I say, whatever you know you need to. So rather than sit here trying to give examples, you'll probably know. The other thing about this area here is our old emotional patterns, and things are likely to come up over this time which will tempt you, like, you know, 40 days in the wilderness and being tempted to fall back into an old pattern or an old way with someone, maybe. And try not to shoot yourself in the foot, because you can't change old habits or beliefs. And in general, this is your opportunity to heal old wounds and be in touch more with your spirituality. So old wounds which are emotional, but also physical ailments as well. And you Virgos born in the middle 10 days or with 15 to 21 degrees rising, going to feel this energy the most this month. That's, say, the middle 10 days and the beginning of the last 10 days. And also keep a lookout for Neptune always, because Neptune is in your opposite sign and making, you know, all that glitters is not gold in important close relationships, or rather potential important relationships, because there may be something hidden, there may be something you don't know. There's a little bit of uncertainty and confusion